right, so I was going to do, you know how, like, every week we have official podcast of something? So this week I was thinking of something we could do, and I was like, you know, we should do, like, official podcast of Nerds Everywhere. But then I was thinking, you know, there's probably, like, some guy in a cave who's in ISIS, who's, like, a huge Walking Dead fan, and, like, his other brothers don't know about it. He's, like, trying to get a Wi-Fi connection to pirate the last episode of Walking Dead that he hasn't seen. So I don't know if we want to do that, but if we do, so we're the official podcast of nerds all around the world, unless you're an asshole. If you're an asshole.
Asterisk, unless you're an asshole.
Yeah, asterisk. If you're an asshole, this show's not for you. So we'll talk about news. Kyle, do you have any news that you want to talk about?
I don't. I'm very unnews friendly.
Because we're in a new studio setup. We have no Jordan today. It's just Kyle and I, which is sad because we like Jordan. They had the first few images from Thor Ragnarok hit the internet. We see Chris Hemsworth in a new haircut.
Yeah, rocking sort of a punker look.
Yeah, it's all chopped off. He's got
like cat scratches on it.
Like war paint on his face. Looking pretty tough, as he always does. Like, the reason I'd want to be in a Marvel movie is so I could get a Marvel body. Because, like, even Paul Rudd in Ant-Man,
yeah,
he got Marvel abs.
Yes, he did.
Whoa. Jeez, if I could be an actor just so I could have, like, an actor's body, that would be great.
It'd be nice to be paid to work out and look good.
Yes.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
I get the feeling I would pay a lot more attention to myself if I did.
Exactly. If that's all you had to worry about, like, day in and day out.
Yeah.
I could definitely stay at the gym for 8 hours if I was getting paid for it.
Or if I could have somebody, like, Photoshop and CG to make it look like I got a six-pack or something. That would also be nice.
You'd have to pay 2 people, though.
Yeah.
You'd have to pay them and you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But still,
gotta save money.
Take the easy way out. Pay another person.
And then we had a very interesting picture of Hela, the Norse goddess of death.
Yeah, John gave me a little quiz on that. Who do you think this is? And after naming off of several who were not right, including Kate Beckinsale, yeah, he drops a bomb that it's Kate Blanchett.
And
holy shit.
She looks smoking hot in this picture.
Super hot.
And it's weird because I think she looks older back from the late 90s when they were recording Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird.
The lady in the forest got hot.
Yeah. And I mean, she plays timeless characters. And she's, according to, you know, co-actors and stuff, they say that she's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But she apparently has sold her soul to the devil and is now looking 25 years younger. So, yeah, Kate Blanchett, wow.
Yeah. Kudos on that one, Kate.
Yeah. So I look forward... I like women villains, and Kate Blanchett is no pushover when it comes to roles that she takes on. So
oh, yeah.
I look forward to it. Have you ever taken the Marvel quiz for Chris's?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so Chris Pratt, who plays Star-Lord.
Chris Evans
is Captain America, and then Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor.
Thor, yep.
So you play Screw, Marry, Kill. So pick your Chris's.
All right. Chris Hemsworth, I'm going to screw him. I'll marry Chris Evans, and I'm going to have to kill...
Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt.
Oh.
Sorry.
So
actually, you know what? All right, I'm going to change that. I got to kill Chris Evans and marry Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's hilarious.
Chris Pratt is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as I enjoy Captain America as being like the never go bad type character, Star-Lord is just great.
Yeah, he's great. And I loved him on Parks and Rec.
I never did get into Parks and Rec, but I saw a couple of clips from him, like one where he threw a tablet or something and broke a light switch, like legitimately in real life.
Yeah, shattered it.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it would be I'd murder Chris Evans just because I've seen him die in like Sunshine. Spoiler alert.
Sunshine, great movie.
I want to kill his version of the Human Torch. So.
Oh yes, horrible.
And then I think I'd want a long-lasting relationship with an Australian. So I would go with Chris Hemsworth to marry, and I would have to screw Chris Pratt. So
Not a bad choice.
That's what I think of.
And at least if things don't work out with Chris when you marry him, he's got 2 other brothers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a bigger family there.
That's why I can never remember their first names. It's like, it's one of the Hemsworth.
Am I saying Hemmingsworth?
Is it Hemsworth?
It's just Hemsworth.
Is it?
I've been screwing that up.
I have no clue, man. I've seen it like twice written down, so I just kind of went with
No, it's Chris Hemsworth.
Is it Hemsworth? Okay.
God, I sound like an idiot now.
Official podcast of messing up people's last names.
All right, so I'll just cut those in now. I'll put them in where I was trying to say Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, nice.
Middle of Earth Shadow of War was announced this week. I don't know if you saw that. They're making a sequel to Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have it. I have not gotten into it yet.
Yeah. Well, now you have until, I think, August.
I got too many things to play. Andromeda's coming out here soon.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be so bogged down with that.
I'm worried about that because, like, I want it. I'm still not finished with Witcher. I really don't have time to finish, like, long RPGs.
Yep.
So it's tough, so.
I was going to say, man, for as much as you got going on, you always seem to get at least a little more time on new games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I try to.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least you're staying current.
Stay on top of it. So yeah, Shadow of War, and it looks like the world map is split up now. I mean, it kind of was with the last one, but there's all these different regions, and if you take out the overlord that controls that region, you can promote one of your troops to overlord, and then they can train more troops for your army. There was like a 16-minute demo.
Oh, nice.
On the internet that you can find. And it looks really great. It just looks like the first one, but bigger, like more expanded. So after playing the first one, I enjoyed it. I'll probably look at getting Shadow of War.
It retains that Assassin's Creed style gameplay?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, kind of Assassin's Creed, a Lord of the Rings game with like the Arkham Asylum style combat with swords. Nice. And a lot more blood. There's a cave troll that breaks through a gate in the gameplay demo, and he smashes another orc down, and then like he pops off his head.
Oh, no
like
way.
Stuff you'd never see in the movies, but like
Dang.
Looks really badass.
Does he like throw the head at somebody?
I don't think so.
That'd be cool. Do a little X-24 and toss a head around.
Yeah, I don't know. X-23.
Oh, X-23. That's right. Yep.
That's all right. Though.
Sorry, Laura. So in the first game, did you have troops and stuff, or were you just by yourself?
You did. You would recruit orcs to like fight for you.
Okay. Oh, basically like turning them.
Yep.
Cool.
And then there was a nemesis system where if you got killed by an orc, he would get more powerful.
I do recall you showing me a little bit of that.
And then if he killed you again, he'd get even more powerful until you basically create the game's antagonists as you play.
That's cool. I like that.
Kind of like where Dragon Age 2 failed, because there was no...
I did play it, but long ago.
There was no like primary antagonist.
It was like the what did they call it? The Darkspawn? Is that what it was?
That was the first one.
Oh, okay.
The second one, there wasn't really a bad guy. There wasn't.
Oh, really?
Really antagonist. So the way you went through the story, you kind of developed your own. But this was a much more direct approach, saying, you know,
this is the guy that killed you twice.
Yeah.
Try to beat him again.
And it's great because he would recognize you when you come back to like fight him. Cool. So he's like, "I've killed you twice, half-breed." So that's my orc voice, by the way. Yeah, you just need to growl and
belt out a few syllables.
Man flesh. So we're gonna have a rather honest episode. We're gonna, since Jordan's not here and we don't really have a topic to talk about, we're gonna talk about the origins of We Sound Like Nerds. Some people have asked for this, and so yeah, we thought we would go ahead and tell you guys how this all started. So back in the fall of 1985, just kidding.
Starting from the beginning.
Just kidding. I was introduced to podcasts by my wife after we first got married on trips out west to like the Black Hills, and Stuff You Should Know.
More informative rather than entertainment? Or?
Yeah. Well, entertaining information.
Infotainment?
Josh and Chuck work at Stuff You Should Know, And way back then, they just had like 15-minute episodes, and now they're on to like 30 minute to 1 hour episodes.
Oh, nice.
And they work for howstuffworks.com. So it's always been really interesting. They've had stuff like as boring as like how does cheese work, all the way up to like the 10 best unsolved murders of all time.
Oh, nice.
Those kind of things. And it was the birth of, I mean, obviously not the birth to the world, but the birth to like my first introduction into alternative news, alternative entertainment. Not TV or movies, but stuff you can get from the internet.
Nice.
And podcasts are a great way to do that because pretty much anyone can make one. I mean, look at us.
I was going to say, point of fact here.
We didn't take classes for this. I found most of the stuff that I needed to do online, and I'm basically self-taught. So yeah, what was your first introduction to podcasts?
Basically this one. Like, I honestly, I've never really listened to any podcasts or anything. More or less, I understand everybody has an opinion, and I figure most of these things are basically just opinion-based, so I've never really found anything that tickled my fancy enough to continue listening for an extended period of time.
My podcast tastes have changed through the years. Like, I started with Stuff You Should Know and, like, This American Life. And then I moved on to, like, Tell 'em Steve Dave, which are the guys that work at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Oh, nice.
Over in New Jersey. Kevin Smith's...
Off the turnpike.
Yeah. Kevin Smith's business that he owns there. And after Tell 'em Steve Dave, I got into like The Weekly Planet, which I've talked about on the show before. It's the Australian podcast, the official podcast of comicbookmovie.com.
Oh, okay.
And then I just randomly was on Facebook one day, and Ari's show, Isaac and Eli's older sister.
Oh.
You used to work with Isaac at Subway.
Yep.
Eli, Isaac's older brother, did the podcast artwork for the show. So Ari and her husband Dominic are filmmakers, and they have their own podcast called Chaos Reigns.
Oh.
And Ari shared a memory on Facebook last year saying that they like having guests on. So I was just like, hey, can I come on your show? I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I just want to see what it's like. And we got together. We did an episode of their podcast. It's called Chaos Reigns. You can find it on iTunes. And yeah, it was weird because I haven't talked to Ari since like high school, so it's been a while. I decided then, this was back like August of last year, August of 2016. I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And that was like the thing that pushed me over the edge, because I talked on their show about not having the right people to do it with yet. Really, it was me saying, I don't really know what to do. And I'm one of those people that isn't I'm like a lot of people who think I don't know how to do something, so I probably can't do it. Kind of mentality. And they were just like, neither did we, and we just did it. And here we are today. So my word of advice to those listening who want to do their own podcast: just ask someone who's done a podcast and ask them, what you need to get started. It's insanely easy, and you can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to know how to do something, at least podcast related, go ahead and shoot John a message.
Oh, hey, Laura.
I did like that response when we were at the movie. You're like, I assumed it was Laura's phone, even though I didn't have the contact in there. You're like, no, the correct answer is who did.
Yeah.
I was like, buying a ticket? Can I confer questioning answer in a text? I can.
When I decided that I might want to try to do a podcast, it's when I was working at the Murph with you.
Yep.
On prep. I started working there part-time when Laura was still in school because we needed money. So
just a side gig, yeah?
Yeah, just a side gig. I work overnights, so then I'd work prep mornings with you, and then Sunday night closes. as well with some other kids there. And during prep, I mean, we didn't really know each other, obviously, when you first start working somewhere. And it came up that you watched Walking Dead. And I was like, oh, hey, I watch Walking Dead. We went down a list, and we checked, like, every single box.
It was almost like we were separated at birth.
Yeah,
like,
it was...
Our tastes are very similar.
Freaking weird. Like, best Final Fantasy, 7.
Easily.
Best TV show, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that I like to refer back to as Ka from the Stephen King Gunslinger Dark Tower books.
Ah.
They have this thing that's like Fate, but it's called Ka in that universe. And you can find people that align with, like, your worldview perfectly, like, every once in a while throughout life. And right then I was like, man, I love this. I haven't had this connection with someone since, like, college, when I met, friends from college. So that was really cool. And we would sit around prep and we would just talk for, like, the 3 hours that prep took.
Yeah.
And basically, if you had a microphone back there,
I was going to say, we had gold back then.
Yes.
Oh, it was gold.
A lot more risque stuff than we put out there for public consumption. But yeah, if anyone's worked in the restaurant industry, you know how dirty it gets back in prep when you're having a conversation. Not the food, the conversation. And we would sit around with Mike, he was a supervisor, right?
Yes, he's
assistant manager.
Yep.
And the original idea was to have a curling podcast.
That's right, I remember that.
Where we wouldn't talk about curling, and every episode we would end with, next week we'll be talking about World Championship curling or something, and never get to it.
Oh, man.
And it's funny because my dad's a state champion curler, and he was just on the news here in Sioux Falls for the curling that they do out at the Iceplex or whatever.
The instructive, like they show people how to do it?
Yeah. And he plays.
Oh, do they
in a
play
curling
out there, though,
league.
too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. All right, so we're going to get into monologue time. Kyle's just going to sit there and listen to this stuff. So, the podcast. I wanted to do the podcast because I wanted an outlet to talk about stuff I like and care about. Because once you have...
You're okay.
I'm starting my monologue and you interrupted.
Monologues are supposed to be at the beginning.
What?
Aren't they?
No, mono meaning one. Monologue.
But don't all the talk show hosts do their monologues at the beginning?
They do, but...
I guess the whole show's like a monologue, because they're usually just talking. Unless they got a guest.
Like, your Tonight shows have monologues at the beginning, but, like, bad guys can monologue. When they have, like, the good guy trapped. And they're like, this is my plan.
Touché, sir.
You were such a fool.
I'm going to reveal everything and then give you a way out so that you can stop me.
Oh my god, you guys are nerds.
Proudly so.
How long are you going to be?
Like 20 minutes.
Back in there?
I'm not making any noise.
So, I wanted to do this show because I wanted an outlet to talk about the stuff I care about. On the overnight, I work a job with people, well, ever since Jordan left, because Jordan and I used to work on the same overnight shift. No one has the same interests that I do. And then during the day, I'm a stay-at-home dad with 4 kids to watch. And they're not exactly into the same stuff that I'm into. So it's hard to have an outlet for talking like we used to at Papa Murphy's, the Murph, as we call it. So I decided I wish I had an outlet to talk about those things so I can unburden myself of thinking about that stuff all the time. Because when I would get together with people, I would just show them video after video or, hey, did you see this online? Where the conversation really wasn't there, but I was bringing it there because that's what I wanted to talk about. And that goes back to something a lot of people actually don't know about me, even those that are really close to me, and my crippling social anxiety that I have. I can't be in a group of people. I don't like it. If I'm working, that's fine. If it's an event or something, I'm usually fine, like a hockey game or something, because or a movie, I'm not interacting with those people specifically. We are all interacting with, the sport or the movie up on the screen. We were up in the cities. This was a couple years back. We were out with my sister and husbands and my wife, and we were all out at a couple different clubs. And I went back to the hotel early because I couldn't deal with being around other people, because I had never built up the ability to just enjoy myself talking to strangers. I have stranger danger, I guess.
Dude, I'm literally, maybe that's why we're so alike. I'm the exact same way.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but ever since basically puberty, I would rather hang out with one or two people alone, like at a house or something, than go and try to hang out in a group of people I don't know.
It's the quality, not the quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically through high school, I have kept one friend from high school that I would consider close, Dan, who's been mentioned on the episode before. And then in college, I really only kept one close friend from college, Ken, who's been on the episode before. And now in adulthood, I was 24 when we had our first child, and we've had 5. I'm 31 now, and I've, maybe 2 friends, Kyle and Jordan. So it's sad, but I'm surrounded with people I love.
Hey, man, you're loved in return.
So, I decided, I can't socialize with the people I'm around now. I need an outlet for this. So that's how we got We Sound Like Nerds. Talked to Eli and said, hey, I'm doing this podcast. Could you do album artwork for me? He's like, yeah, sure. Let me knock a few things out. He's a insanely talented artist. If you're in the Midwest, stop by Sioux Falls and see if he's got a show, and it's Eli Show, which is pretty easy to remember. And then I threw it out on a whim, and I was like, Kyle, do you want to do the podcast we talked about doing? And then Jordan said, hey, I want to do the podcast. I was like, dude, yeah, that'd be great. I didn't know you would want to do that. So that's how we got here. We're having a fun ride. I hope you guys are having a fun ride. I knew the moment I fell for you and Cassie and Corey.
Which doesn't sound creepy at all.
I fell in...
Cassie and Corey are my brother and sister, by the way.
Yeah.
Just for reference.
It was great because you guys all worked at Murphy's together.
Yep.
And I thought it was just super cute to have you guys as family all working at the same place. I've worked before at a job with my older sister Laura at Famous Dave's. But that was way back in high school, and we don't have the most in common. Like, our family is very close knit, but I wouldn't say Laura and I have the same interests. Laura, my sister, not my wife. It's very confusing. So I was at Murphy's clocking in or out, and Corey, Cassie, and Kyle were all at the far register. There's 2 registers at the Murph. And you guys were all talking about Dragon Age Inquisition because it was coming out. It either had just come out or was coming out shortly. I think it had just come out because Cassie was talking about how she had already beaten it. And Corey hadn't had a chance to play it, or you hadn't had a chance to play it yet. But in that moment, I was like, oh, I wish I was part of their family. Because my sister Heather and I, when she lived here in Sioux Falls, she would work late into the night, and I would stay up until she got home. And then we would watch movies that we rented from, like, the library or Blockbuster, back when Blockbuster was a thing. I haven't had that relationship with a sibling for years. And it was just, like, refreshing and, like, nostalgic and, like, heartwarming to see you guys having that same similar conversation we would have had.
No, it's just very nice to have that affectionate sort of undertone to the podcast, because it's not so much just 2 people talking about similar similar interests. It's good friendships.
Yeah. And I So let's talk about the future of We Sound Like Nerds, because I'm thinking we're gonna shift gears on how we do episodes from here on out. So this is new information. We're gonna move to a bi-weekly format. So instead of 4 episodes a month, we'll only do 2 episodes a month. They might be longer, or we might record 2 at a time and space them out that way. And we're gonna move away from like reviews and stuff for new content that is released, and go back and do more in-depth looks into stuff that we like. And so every week will be someone else's show, basically, and they'll be the driver of what topic they want to talk about. And hopefully that can diversify our portfolio of what we have available to our listeners. And I would love it if our listeners would let us know on Facebook or Twitter what they want us to talk about, and we can go from there. Because as of right now, we're just doing this week by week to, try out new things. And if people like it, we see our downloads go up. And then we do a similar thing, and our downloads stay flat. So I don't know.
It's a lot cheaper than therapy, that's for sure.
It was going to be a short episode because we're doing a live Q&A stream on YouTube coming up. So this is part 1 of that. It's a companion piece, so you have to get both. So yeah, even though you will be listening to this after the live stream ends, if you haven't found the live stream, you can find it on YouTube at our page. Go to youtube.com and type in the search bar, We Sound Like Nerds, and you'll find our channel. The live stream will be the one episode that doesn't look like our album artwork, so it should be pretty easy to find. Kyle and I have no idea what we're going to play yet, but we'll figure it out.
It's up in the air.
Yeah. It was a short and sweet episode about how much we love each other. And we will talk to you guys next week. For We Sound Like Nerds, I'm Jon.
And this is Kyle.
Nerd out.